is one of the main means of disciplining children.
The discipline is important, and they know if they do something wrong, there's a consequence. And what they would do is they would negotiate the punishment. Usually the punishment is with, naughty corner. I find that spanking is a waste of time. Because what happened with Rafael when I tried to spank him, his reflex is to hit back at me. So I don't, I very, very rarely spank.
One of my principles there is that I should not whip my children. I'm not doing that. And you can talk to my wife or Asa, or you can talk to those children. I've never given my children a beating. Take like how my parents used to discipline before. We had high discuss in our yard. We used to live here before, and she just gone cut off a branch and just give us serious whipping.
I had an occasion where I screamed at her because she was sitting on Rihanna's hand, and she said, "Mommy, you don't love me anymore." So I said, "Yes, but remember, sister is she calls Rihanna sister. So I said, remember, sister is a little baby and her hand's very soft, and if you sit on it, it's going to break. And you don't want sister's hands broken." She said, "No."
Only remember the story about Brother Nancy and Brother Snake? Now, just like Nancy, you too can achieve your goals. You see, Nancy didn't allow his smallness of size to stop him from doing such a big task. And you could do the same. You see, when I was small, my grandmother would tell us a story for every occasion, especially that one about Brother Nancy and Brother Snake. We would be given an opportunity to participate. We would learn the story, and then we would present it, and that would make us feel so good about ourselves. You see, too many of us think of children as just physical beings, to be clothed and fed. We have to allow our children to actively participate in the things around them, to share their feelings, to share their ideas, so that they can become self-confident and independent.
Sometimes I just come to the river and wash with those children. Sometimes we stay at home too, doing some craft at home too, and they're there with me. But we go to the garden.
If mommy's cooking, she can get the child involved in the kitchen. Bring me 3 spoons, set the table, go to the refrigerator and take out the cucumbers and have them involved. And I think parents need to know that all that is learning. I think that learning is from a book, but children learn through their experiences.
Anybody here does help at home?
Yes.
Like what you just do at home? Tell me.
I wash my plate, I cook my food.
Really? What you can cook?
Food, plain, and rice and fish.
Oh goodness, I love that. And so you wash your plates. How you wash your plates? Show me how you wash your plates.
Like that.
And anybody else does help home?
Yes.
What you
do? Me.
What you just do?
I just wash it, and then I just wash it.
My father used to go and fish. Around here, we fish in the traditional way, rock fishing. And my father would hardly take us to fish. You check. He'll hardly take us to fish. And we grew up not doing the things that he did because now he just pushes us aside, and he keep on doing these things. So now I would say my father wasn't actually there for his children. So what I want to do different now is I want to be there for my children and them, for my children.
You wash your own clothes? Really? Show me how you wash it. Show me how you wash it. Like this?
Like that.
And what's the song you just make? Just help your mommy and daddy do anything else? Like what? Sweep. You can sweep? Yeah. A big broom or a small broom?
A big broom.
Wow.
The other thing that we're seeing, which I think is really critical and a big plus in the Caribbean, is the way in which fatherhood is being redefined over the generations. Yes? Many fathers we saw playing with their children, enjoying their children. I mean, really embracing fatherhood in a way in which didn't happen before. And many of them would tell us I'm not going to be a father the way my father was. I'm going to be a father, a proper father, a good father to my children.
Well, I try to spend as much time with them as possible. I think that's the most important thing. And spend time with Aliyah especially. Because Rihanna is still with her mom a lot, breastfeeding and whatever it is. Aliyah she's a very bright child. And sometimes she say things that surprises me. Like last night, I went to the mall with some friends that I haven't been out in a long time. And then she was asking me, Daddy, where are you going? So I said, I'm going to work. And then she said, why? So I said, well, I need money to buy things for you. And she said, no, Daddy, I don't need anything, so why don't you stay home? I was very, very surprised about that. I didn't realize how much she misses me until last night.
I try my best to give as much as possible to them because, I mean, where I grew up in Movant, and there were lots of single-parent households. And I saw the effects of fathers not being around to help in the upbringing of their children. So, in all honesty, I always try my best to stick around, and hopefully I can give them the best that I can.
Our children, they look at us, you know, they look at us to see what is it like to be a man, especially in the case of my son, obviously, and with our daughter, you know, looking at her mother to see what it is to be a woman. And so I'm so much more mindful of my actions, that they will pattern a lot of their behavior after what I do. I would often hear my son repeating phrases or terms that I would use, so it makes me realize as well, if he can repeat the good things, he would repeat the bad things as well.
Yes, fathering I think is enjoyable, especially when you have children calling you daddy or asking you certain questions, you know, and when you can answer and talk to them and relate to them. That's what I like about fathering.
The research has shown that a lot of positive things has happened in terms of child rearing and parenting practices. However, there's still some problems. There are too many cases of abuse, of neglect, absent fathers and even mothers. Sometimes the only contact that a child has of their parent is that occasional barrel that comes from abroad. However, there are a lot of positives. Parents are now changing the way they see corporal punishment. Fathers are now participating more in child rearing issues. But we must share this best practice across the Caribbean as it relates to socialization and to our children birth to 5. Children, come and sing with me now. Come gather round, children, we telling stories this evening. Come gather round, children, we telling stories. Let's see the dance evening. Come gather round, children, we telling stories this evening.
Be patient. Be very, very, very patient. Know that your perception of the world is not necessarily a child's perception of the world, that they see things very, very differently to the way that you do. Try to understand why your child says or does what he or she says or does, and try really to put yourself in your child's place.
Once you get them going in the first 5 years, when they go to primary school, you know, it doesn't matter what they face. They're resilient. They know themselves. They have high self-esteem. They can go out there and achieve anything.
Domino, 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 a biscuit. Ooh, chi-chi, wow, wow, a biscuit.
Oh, my love, a biscuit. More biscuits after me. Ice cream, soda pop,